Ian Desaw from Billy Tallent is with us. And where are you joining us from today?
I'm at our band studio, like our basically our headquarters, where we record most of our records.
That's great. And do you guys do a lot of hang time there?
Yeah, we do. We rehearse here, record here, hang out here. It's kind of like our home base.
Great. Was it a nice little refuge during the downtime of the COVID?
Oh,
Or
totally. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
because we were finishing most of the record here, so it's just me and Kenny, our engineer, or just me and Ben, and it was nice to have our own little spot to finish the record up in.
now, when I think about a group having its own recording studio, I think back to Ted Templeman's biography that I read last summer. And he,
Oh,
of course, was Van Halen's producer, among many, many others. And I remember him being a little upset when he found out that Eddie was building a studio in the house because
yeah.
he felt that having a studio in the house compared to having a studio where you're actually scheduled and paying to do work, the latter was actually a much better choice. And he was kind of mad at the Van Halen boys for kind of jumping innovation, if you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, because Eddie, I like Eddie's. I was reading about him building that studio, and I think it's still there and it's operational. Like I've always wanted to visit it. Um, Brendan O'Brien said the same thing when we were working with him. I remember on our third record, he said he doesn't have a studio in the house because it's more motivational to go somewhere else to record a record, and uh, and that's kind of like with us. It's we don't live here, so it's just the studio. It is pretty close to where we live, but it's a nice little refuge, I think. A little different than going, spending a month in say Vancouver because we're from Toronto and making a record. Different kind of vibe. I think you have more time at your disposal to try different things when you have your own place. You're
Mhm.
not under the gun for time, which is uh, which has been pretty good.
And it seems like a pretty enterprising little venture as well. I would assume that when there's downtime that you can attract revenue in there and help it pay for itself, pay all your taxes and make sure you guys can put food on the table, especially in the last year or so when you haven't been out and able to play.
Well, it also functions as a rehearsal space, so we typically don't have other bands coming in here because
Oh,
yeah, it's kind of like an everything space for the band. Like we have some of our merch and stuff upstairs, and yeah, I write here most of the time uh, when we're not recording or not touring. I'm in here writing. So it's just like a great little creative space for us.
okay. Tell me, do a little setup for me. You come in to do some writing. You say, okay, you've got the day timer, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm going to go down to the studio and I'm going to write. So, blank canvas, how do you fill it?
I typically just play guitar for hours, and sometimes a whole full day will go by, and nothing comes out that is worthy of wanting to even keep. But sometimes like you have those moments like, and I find they usually come like as soon as I get here within the first 15 minutes. If I get an idea, then I'll just keep rolling on that idea, and it'll end up turning into a song from there.
Do you ever have one of those moments where you wake up in the middle of the night after a dream and go, oh, I got to get that down?
Totally, all the time.
Oh,
Especially when
really?
yeah, all the time. I've woken up going, had this idea in my head, recorded into my iPhone. Same thing with driving. I find when I'm driving, I get a lot of the best ideas for some reason. It's like you've shut off part of your right brain because you're focusing on doing something that is a survival thing, and then you're allowing your right brain to kind of go off on its own, and so I'll end up thinking of a great melody and then having to pull over and record in my iPhone like a vocal melody or something that could be a guitar riff.
That's fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Rivers Cuomo from Weezer is on your new single. When you were writing the song, did you have him in
Mhm.
mind or did this just happen organically?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was working on those melodies, I hugely inspired by those early Weezer records, like especially Pinkerton and the Blue Album. So I kind of pictured him singing, some of those lines, and the guitar riff that starts the song was more of Jimi Hendrix and John Frusciante type of influence. And I thought it would be really cool to put those two things together because they're so different, but they're so impactful together as well, especially when the heavy guitars come in. So when Ben said, "Well, why don't we, reach out to him and see if he'd be interested in singing on this?" I was like, "Oh, well, that would be amazing, but it's never going to happen." And then it actually did. We were, so humbled and honored that one of our idols sang on this song, which is
And
amazing.
were you able to direct him over an ISDN line? Did he send files? How did that all get managed?
We just our management sent the song to his manager, and we heard back within a day or two
Uh-huh.
saying he loves the song and he wants to try some things out. And then a few weeks later, we got his engineer sent over a bunch of vocal takes, and it was pretty surreal, listening to his isolated vocal track, especially being a huge fan from way back in the day. Uh, just it sounded amazing, and he sang the second verse, and yeah, his vocals were like silky and like butter and everything you'd expect from Rivers Como.
Yeah, that's really nice. And
Yeah,
you just said, "Look, this is what it is. Show us what you got," and
yeah,
it worked.
whatever you feel like doing, and we sent him all the lyrics and everything, and he sang that part, and I comped it into the track, and then we sent it off to mix. It happened pretty fast actually.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
The new music has it just has so much space and different kinds of dynamics than the kind of stuff that you were doing in
yeah.
your first couple of albums. Uh, do, what would you attribute that to? Maturity? I mean, younger people tend to push it out a little bit harder as you get a little bit older. Some of the edges kind of soften a little bit without losing the crux of the
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah, we've never really had a song that tempo and that kind of pacing, or a song that has almost like a uplifting or happy vibe to it, but lyrically it's about a friendship that is toxic, and but you really care about the person so much. Like I'm sure we've all had friends like that where you've been friends for 20 years or something like that, and you are constantly trying to help, but they just never change, and you can't change them. So you just have to keep helping them and trying.
Speaking of friendship, you guys have been together for like 20 years now, and like any relationship, I'm
Yeah.
sure there are fractious moments, but you've managed to keep it together.
Yeah. 28 years going
Wow.
actually this year. Yeah, because we all met in 1993 in high school. We formed the band. We were called Pez for the first 7 years. Same members, and we changed the name in about 99. But it's been a very long time, and it's sort of like a marriage. There's ups and downs, and you have to work through stuff, and it's the dynamic between the four of us there's always been this great amount of respect for each other. So that's what's I think, made the band last so long.
And you guys finally get out to play, and you're going to be at Scotiabank Arena with
Yeah,
Rise Again. Fantastic double bill. So that's April 6th. Tickets are on sale now. You must be thrilled to get out there again.
totally, totally stoked. I mean, we've toured with Rise Against before, and I think this will be the fourth time we've toured together. For
Mhm.
years, we've known that band since the early 2000s when we met on Warped Tour, and we just really hit it off with them, and always loved touring with them. So we're definitely stoked for that tour, and then the Western Canada dates with Pup and Nobra, of course. It's yeah, we've only done two shows this year, which were our first two shows in 3 years, and they
Mhm.
were out east in Truro, Nova Scotia, and St. John's, Newfoundland. So this will be like something that's a return to normal for us.
Were you a little nervous before those first two shows?
Oh yeah, oh totally. I think we all were. There's a certain bit of anxiety when you're getting up and having not done it in so long, and instantly fall in love with you know this is what we kind of live for, and the audience too. It's amazing, you know I'm just happy people came out and enjoyed the show.
Got to get back on the horse, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Hey, Ian, what a trip to chat. I hope to
Yeah,
see you
you
in person
too.
next time.
Great chatting with you too. Say hi to Dougie for me.
I will do that. Ian Desau, Billy Tallent. Thanks for joining
Okay.
us in the Rock Zoom room.
Take care, man.